guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Michelle Moreus and I make art tutorials that are fun, easy, and accessible for everyone. Today we're going to be doing this crushed Coke can in Polychromos color pencils on Fabriano Artistica hot press paper. So before we get into the video, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and leave me a comment below. I subscribed, and I'll be sure to get back to each and every one of you. So as always, you want to start with a nice detailed sketch. In your sketch, you want to put in your highlights, all your dark shadows, and in this case we have the writing on the can that's crushed up, so you want to get that down pretty accurately so you don't get lost when you're in the middle of this drawing. So I'm starting my with a cool gray pencil, and I'm going over all of those lines in the top of the can, and this is going to give us a good roadmap to get going with the drawing and give it a little bit of structure. And now I'm going in with an orangey red color, and I'm just again giving myself some guidelines, and we can fill in the rest as we go along, but I need to have a little bit of a light layer of color pencil down that'll give us a good base layer to blend everything else in later on. So we're just going to go in and give us a good roadmap for the rest of the drawing. So you want to start off lightly. I have started with very sharp colored pencils. I took the time and sharpened all my pencils before I started the drawing. I also swatched them all out on a separate piece of paper so that I knew exactly which colors I was going to use and where I was putting what. So I have those next to me, and all of my pencils are readily available. So you want to start off with really light layers, and we're going to put a lot of layers down. So you want to put some white where your brightest highlights are going to be, so in case you go over them, you can still preserve them. And then we're just going in and giving us a structural base right now, putting in those wrinkles in the can and the dents, and we're going to start building it up very, very slowly. This drawing was a little bit tricky because everything is kind of crushed up and wrinkled, and there's all kinds of really deep shadows in there, and the way that the writing is. So you really need to take it real slow and just get a good base layer down. And then, you know, we're going to go back in and we're going to hit all of those shadows and deepen everything up again. Now you know that color pencil is always done best in light layers. So we really just want to get some material down on the paper right now to make it a little easier as we start to push all of our values. And you want to use a full range of values. So you want your darks to be really dark and your lights to be really light. And where those two things meet is where the drawing's going to really pop. And don't be afraid to go too dark, but not in the beginning. You want to push those values later on in the drawing, and you'll see that if you try to go in too quickly with too much color, you're not going to be able to put your details on top of that. So you want to do light layers and a lot of light layers, because we're going to mix a lot of reds together to get all those tonal changes and values in the drawing. So this total drawing took me 2 hours and 31 minutes to complete. And so you do want to take your time and put the time in. If you need to take a break, you take a break. Put some fresh eyes on it after you are back from your break, and you'll do fine. I did get a little frustrated in the middle of this, and I did step away, and as I got back to it, it really started to come alive. So just take your time with it and you'll be just fine. And if you have a good enough sketch, you should be able to follow along with your lines and know exactly where you're putting all of those shadows and all of those highlights. So you can see I'm starting with a more orangey red color because I want that little bit of a glow to show through. And I'm going to put some more deeper reds on top of those orangey reds and try to get closer to the actual color of the Coke can. But I really like to mix up all my tones. I think it adds a little more life to the drawing to have that depth of color in there. And rather than just going in with the one color and then trying to go in with my darker tones and shadows. So you want to use several colors and you want to mix them together, and you really get a really cool effect when it's done because you have all of those tonal changes. Now you can still go in with your eraser at this point if you're using light layers, and you can pick some of that up. So if you happen to go over a highlight or something that you didn't plan on doing, you can go ahead and pick some of that out with an electric eraser or with a Tombow Mono Zero eraser. And I might go back and pull up some of my highlights with that in a little bit, but as long as you're using light layers, you should be able to pull that up. So don't worry if you are a little overzealous and go over an area like part of the writing or something. You can still pull that up. Now I'm going in with some white and I'm just brightening up the spots in my drawing that are going to be a brighter highlight area. And this way, if I happen to go over it with some more colored pencil, I'll still be able to pick that out or go in with a craft knife and pull some of that out. So don't worry, just keep on going and keep getting your layers down and everything will blend just fine. So as you can see, I'm going over all of my red areas and all of those orangey red tones with a little bit darker red now. So we're just starting to enrich the color and just add more depth to the red tones in the Coke can. You'll start to see why I put down all of those different reds and why it's important to layer. It just makes for a much richer finished drawing. Now I'm going in with a little bit of Payne's Gray, and I'm adding in some of those shadows and just following my reference image and deepening all of those creases to make it more believable. So I'm going to put in a little bit of my shadow with some graphite. I find that using graphite for shadows, it's a little softer, and you can go in with a brush and kind of blur it out, and it's not as harsh or waxy as a colored pencil. So I'm going in with that pencil, and I'm going in with my brush, and I'm blending it out, and I'm using my kneaded eraser to kind of clean things up a bit. So you can do this with anything that you like. You can use a colored pencil. I just prefer the graphite. I think it's a little bit of a softer shadow, and it makes a nicer soft transition. So you can use colored pencil, you could use a marker, anything that you like, but it is very easy to use a graphite pencil and go ahead and blend it out. So now is the time to clean everything up. Go over all of your shadows. Make sure you push your values as far as you can go. Clean up any stray pencil lines with your eraser, and just double check with your reference image. Make sure that you've pushed everything enough. Use your full range of values and just give it a good once over. And we're getting toward the end of the drawing. Just giving ourselves a little bit more shadow, cleaning that up, and we'll be good to go. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new content. I put out new tutorials every Thursday.